Hi, this is Microdose U, and I'm Dr. Denise. I'm a doctor of psychology. Today, I want to talk about the issue of addiction, actually. But I'm not talking about the question that we deal with a lot here at Microdose U, which is isn't this a drug? Isn't it addicting? Is it addicting? That kind of question. And let's just for a minute remember that psychedelics, psilocybin and LSD, are classified, it's up for review. However, it stands in our country, in the United States, it stands as a very dangerous scheduled drug, substance, both of them. And the reason for that is because it's thought to be highly addictive, as well as dangerous and having no medical value, no medical use. We know all three of those are actually not true. We know that. And even researchers and more corporate organizations know that that's not true. And the government knows that's not true. And yet it's going to take a little time for that to shift. I think probably quicker than it took THC to be shifted. And yet we're still seeing on federal level sometimes that's the case. At any rate, the question of it's absolutely medically beneficial. We know that. It helps with so many medical, physiological, and psychological issues: depression, anxiety, physical pain, inflammation, trauma, etc. We know that. So it absolutely has medical value, microdosing psychedelics. And it is absolutely not addictive, believe it or not. People will say once you start, if it's that good, then you're going to be addicted. It's hard to stop. It's actually not addictive at all. None of these substances that we are microdosing are addictive, not psilocybin and LSD. They are not addictive. And then dangerous. They are among the safest substances that come from our planet. There are far more dangerous substances: alcohol, pharmaceutical medication. I always say here at Microdose U that sometimes the danger is if you are using the medicine and you take too high of a dose and then you feel a little like, that's not so much of a microdose. So that's it's not even dangerous necessarily, maybe undesirable. So we talk about that. So back to the point about one of the reasons that it's scheduled so dangerously is that it's addictive, and it is not. In fact, what I'm going to talk about today is the opposite, which is how helpful microdosing is in dealing with addictions. And I'm going to kind of broaden the definition of addiction. Technically, addiction is when there's like a physiological dependence and a person can't just willfully stop. Nicotine addiction is a good one. Alcohol addiction. Somebody's an alcoholic, sometimes, really bad alcoholic, they really need to be medically supervised as they stop drinking because they go through that withdrawal that's medically can be very dangerous, actually. So while we say this is not medical advice, I will say to you, be very careful if you are noticing you have an addiction with a particular substance that's not helpful, like high use of alcohol. Something like cocaine, there's no medicinal value there. I know it's a very high addiction around our planet. Lots of people enjoy it, and yet it's actually very dangerous. It's really bad for your health. It's chemical. There's nothing natural and good about it, even though I know lots of people say, oh, but it's so much fun, right? So having an addiction to a substance like alcohol, cocaine, and I'm going to put in things like sugar addictions, nicotine, there is a physiological component, and sometimes stopping that just cold turkey all at once can actually throw your body into such a dysregulation. So we always say consult your medical team. So I'm going to, like I said, broaden that definition of addiction beyond just physiological addiction, because I really want to talk about two parts. That one, I believe this is going to upset all the clinicians out there perhaps, but I believe every addiction, every habit, every pattern, this is that broad, maybe I have a habit of scrolling too much. Would that be considered an addiction? I'm going to put it all under one umbrella, that it is all addiction because of what we talk about works with microdosing psilocybin and LSD, which is that it rewires and resets so much in our brain and in our body that literally you're changing your physiology when you are using these medicines, when you're microdosing these medicines. And so, therefore, it's going to address on the positive side, the physical aspects, that habit that draws you in, an unhelpful routine like scrolling or something that doesn't feel like dangerous to stop, and that your body might not kind of go through a dangerous physiological withdrawal, such as would be the case with alcohol withdrawal for someone who drinks extensively. And yet there is this changed physiology that happens when we start microdosing for the better. So not only is it not addictive, it is actually going to help. And why is that? So the sentence that's always floating around in my head is that it's going to the microdosing of these substances increases the openness and the ability of our brain, of our body, psychologically, physiologically, to break old habits, old patterns, including addiction. Whether it's even somebody who's, say, addicted to food, we know food carries a lot of addictive physiology in the body. And so we still have to eat. And yet, what microdosing does is it changes the way things are set. It upgrades the wiring in our bodies and in our brains, psychologically, physiologically, so that we can break habits, patterns, routines, addictions, and break the ones that don't work, upgrade, shift them, and form new ones. We're always talking here at Microdose U about how these medicines create new pathways. So imagine like your brain is kind of set in a pathway. Okay, I need sugar, I need that. It's like everything lights up and I need to keep feeding that. And there is a physiological part to that. What microdosing does is it doesn't necessarily, it's not going to argue with that. What it does is it disrupts it, it makes us more open, so then we can form a new path. In our program here, if you've worked with me, and many of you have, you know it'll sound very familiar that I use the analogy, the metaphor of there's a path, there's a road, and yet there's a lot of potholes. The potholes haven't been repaired, so you go a different way. They're paving a new road, so you're going to go try a different direction until they can kind of fix that old road. So what psilocybin and LSD microdosing does is it actually helps pave the potholes a little bit while it's also opening you up to new pathways. We're going to take a little break and I'll be right back. I wanted to share with you a message from one of our Patreon members.
I just wanted to say that I love Microdose U. My name's Holly. I've been a member of Patreon now for 6, 7+ months, somewhere around there. And I've been microdosing myself for about 2.5, almost 3 years. And I really like Dr. Dave's style. And on a whim, I thought, you know what? It's only $12.50 a month. So why don't I just give this a whirl and see what it has in store? Really, I didn't have any expectations going into this Patreon group, but after being in the group for really a short period of time, it's really transformed everything for me. It's helped so much in my life and just making connections with others. We do have the live meetings and just getting to know others who may be in a similar boat, and a lot of us are. It has been very transforming. When I had joined, I think subconsciously, I was looking for some sort of community or at least a group of folks to chat about microdosing and psilocybin and life and all of that. And that was one of the other missing pieces in my life. Now, I had mentioned to a few others, friends, maybe family about microdosing, but there was only a certain conversations we could have around that. And I really wasn't able to get into depth with friends and family about that. But with this group, it's another story, which is great. So we have a wonderful community, so much information, and even more than I had expected or even had hoped for. So I encourage you to look into it further. You never know what you don't know until you know, and just checking it out and seeing what it has to offer.
I hope you enjoyed what Holly had to say and that you might want to really check out the Patreon group. The link is always in the show notes. I think you'll really love it, and join the community, and we'll see you over there. So we will hear people say something like, I'm an addict. And again, I know the addictions, people might come at me for this. Identifying as an addict lots of people will say it helps them because then they're able to sort of see that they need to work on that. So I'm not arguing so much with that point, but I am saying that the way we relate to ourselves sometimes it's very helpful to say there's an addictive pattern in my physiology, in my psychology, but myself, am not an addict. And I start to see myself in a new light. And that's what microdosing does. It sort of sheds a new light on things, it opens our awareness. And now we can use other strategies. We can see ourselves from a different perspective. Instead of going like this, we might go, oh, here's another way to look at myself. I don't have to be stuck, whether it's in a routine, a pattern, a way of seeing ourselves. There's so many options, endless opportunities to add to our lives, to continue to see ourselves as a person that struggles perhaps with addiction. I'll go that far a little bit. And yet I'm working on that. This is exactly what I'm healing and rewiring. So again, when you're using these medicines and you're setting intentions, and say you have, we'll use cigarette smoking in this example, and you're trying, cigarette smoking is one of the hardest addictions to rewire. It really is. So because there is that nicotine builds up in the bloodstream, and as soon as it drops just a little, somebody who has a nicotine habit will immediately feel that. It's very uncomfortable, actually. And while nicotine is a stimulant, if you're addicted to it, it has a calming, kind of almost paradoxical effect. So smokers will immediately talk about, like, I can't focus, I can't think, I'm shaky. And that's because nicotine is physiologically addicting. It's also psychologically addicting. Smokers will say that they can't just, have a patch or take, some sort of nicotine substitute, as that they actually, if they're smokers or vapors, that there's something addictive about that behavior beyond the physiology, that it's calming, it's soothing, it's part of their habit. They just can't, they white knuckle it, they just can't not do it. So with something like a nicotine addiction, microdosing actually helps physiologically rewire. And I'll tell you an interesting story, true story. Many, many years ago, I was working with somebody who had a stroke. And I knew them before the stroke and I knew them after the stroke. And it was a mild stroke where there was some residual damage, but the person could still function. Basically, there was some short-term issues that did clear up. But one of the things that happened initially, what he said was, do I smoke? Why do I have cigarettes around? Like in the initial days after the stroke, because it does sometimes, the way a stroke is, the person's very dysregulated, the memory things, and then within a short time, month, 2 months, 6 months, a lot of that clears up. And also the brain has the ability to take over function if there's a stroke damaged area in the brain. So in any event, back to my example, true story, he was asking right away, like, do I smoke? Why do I have cigarettes? He forgot that he smoked. Because of this mild stroke, he forgot. And his memory returned. And then he did recall, eventually in a short time, that he was a smoker, had been a smoker, and yet he never smoked again. He was like, I don't even, I don't even miss it. Probably his body went through the physiological withdrawal in those early days of the stroke, and he got through the most difficult part, and he wanted to not smoke. But his physiology was upgraded. Not having a stroke is a good thing. It's more that as a result of the stroke and forgetting, he was able to stop smoking. So the reason I brought up that particular patient of mine from a long time ago was, I thought it was amazing that because he forgot he smoked, he quit smoking. It was like a benefit of, if there was anything good that came out of having a stroke, it was that he stopped smoking and is alive and well today and doing just fine. And smoking cigarettes does really compromise your life, not only in quantity of years, but quality of years. And so it's why so many people who are smoking are trying to quit smoking. So I always tell people, don't try to quit smoking, by the way, make a plan. because you're gonna set yourself up for failure. It's near impossible. However, with microdosing, people are able to stop smoking. And this is why their physiology is upgraded. They reduce their nicotine. I always say to people, smoke one less cigarette a day. You won't notice the withdrawal as much. Some people that doesn't work. So I'm just, if you're somebody who's listening now and you smoke and you're like, I've tried that, Dr. Deese, it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, right? There's another strategy. Reach out, we'll come up with a plan for you. Microdosing helps with that kind of physiological addiction because it's basically opening up the brain and the physiology so that then you build that new pathway. We also know that what these medicines do is it does treat and help us with maybe what's underlying some of addiction. People might have started smoking, it reduced stress. People might start drinking, it felt good, it kind of gave them a numbness to things that were bothering them in their life. People sometimes start something and they don't realize that it turns into a habit, a pattern, and like I'm saying today, a very strong addiction with a physiological component. So you are rewiring, which gives you that ability to kind of expand and have a different perspective. And now you can try all different ways of living, which include not engaging in toxic behaviors, addictions, or being able to modify them. So sometimes people are like, oh, I drink a little too much, but I don't really feel like I have to go to AA or stop drinking. I just want to cut back. And we are seeing that people are able to say, have a couple drinks a week, one glass of wine and fine, when they maybe would drink a whole bottle and not be able to modify their behavior. So when we expand so much awareness, and we also, like I was starting to say, we deal with maybe the underlying parts of ourselves that sometimes drive our problematic patterns and addictions, like, oh, I have a lot of trauma, and people will use addictive behaviors, food, like I said, drinking, or even shopping is a big addiction, or scrolling is a big addiction. People will distract themselves, numb themselves sometimes with these other behaviors when what's really going on is there's depression, there's trauma that's untreated, that's not being addressed. So the thing that's great about microdosing is you're addressing the anxiety, the depression, the trauma, if that exists for you, as well as the physiology and the locked in rigid pattern of problematic behaviors, routines, patterns, severe addictions. So I hope that helps. Let me know, particularly if you have a really strong addiction that you're trying to stop, like a cigarette. You're a cigarette smoker, you're nicotine, you're a vapor, you drink too much, you've tried lots of things, nothing works. I would love to hear from you. Certainly reach out, whether it's responding to, email us here, email me, respond to this podcast. I hope that's helpful, and I will see you soon.